To the Parks, Arts, Education, and Quality Subcommittee. Today is April 26, 2017. I will call the meeting to order, and then I have call to the public. I have Jerry Vangass.
Hi, Jerry Vangass. Thanks, Chair, Pastor, and Council. I just want to harken back to last month and continue on with the proposal to a repayment plan for the 3PI money, Parks and Preserve Initiative money that was taken back in 2013 to pay off the golf course debt, separate enterprise fund. It's been a year. Basically, this proposal was first put out last year by Chairperson Roger Peck at the Parks Board that would, question whether the proceeds from the the sale of the Rose Mofford parcel could be applied to the repayment of the 3PI golf course taking. And, it was basically, at that time said that, it have to be cleared through this subcommittee and then to council. So we're asking for a resolution because there seemed to be agreement at this last subcommittee meeting back in March that this was a viable way to proceed. That we need something in writing though. This has been kicked down the road for a year. And, I'd like to, we've retained, I sent you all a copy, a letter, to move forward. We don't want to individually have a bunch of voices coming in. So we have the same attorney that represented us and the people for, a suit for records request, which was successful back in 2015. We'd like to continue that representation. He'll be speaking for us, and Tim Hogan for Center for Law and Public Interest, who's, coincidentally, has pursued these repayment plans with 3PI money from the State Land Department back in 2011 and 12, successfully and quickly. So, we want to move forward with this. And I'd like to remind you that that 2008 extension of the 3PI initiative for another 30 years emanated from this subcommittee, went to council, and then out to the people for a vote. And 85% of the people voted for it. I'm sure that many would like to see this money returned to the fund. So with that, I'll take a break.
Next is Serra Kalki.
Good morning, Tim Serra Kalki. Thank you so much for this time. Following up with Jerry and the money repayment plan, we really need to hammer out all the details and really put this in writing so that we can go forward with this. It is great to have all these ideas, but if we haven't put them in writing, they're just ideas. We would like to sit down and have another meeting, or we would like to have this placed on as an agenda item next month and a full repayment plan schedule set up so that we know exactly how you're going to pay the money back, what we're going to use to pay the money back, the property that supposedly is going to be acting as a down payment, and then we can go forward. But we need to put this in writing, and we need to have this done immediately. It's been too long. Secondly, I wanted to address the selling of the property once again in town, because after looking at and reviewing everything I've reviewed now that the city has for selling property, it is quite cumbersome for people, and we need to change that at the present time. We need to have and I know they're going to discuss this, a complete changeover of how the city operates and their proposals for RFPs of purchasing property, especially parks property, because anyone who's in business truly does not want to wait a year to purchase a piece of property, especially if it's going to be his new office building. Thanks.
I'm going to call it Marin, but in Spanish it's Marin. Bramblett.
For the record, Marin Bramblett. Good morning. I'm a graduating master's student at ASU's School for the Future of Innovation and Society, and I spoke a few months ago about my concern for accessibility for green spaces in Phoenix and about my thesis on accessibility for the Desert Botanical Gardens. Through that research, I discovered a few elements of accessibility and usability of green spaces in general that I believe can help us improve access and attendance of our city parks. In working with a few members from the Parks Department and Mr. Longoria from Vice Mayor Pastor's office, we discovered a small step that we can take toward making these improvements. Adding park staff through the position of recreation leader will allow the busiest and largest parks to increase their ease of use and convenience by having part-time staff available to organize events, to manage reservations, and create and manage special programming to encourage more community engagement. In a brief document that I prepared and provided to Mr. Longoria, I outlined how adding one recreation leader to Encanto, Sueño, Cielito, Falcon, and Madison parks in District 4 will improve visitor experiences during high traffic hours when event facility organization is key. Due to the limitations and the restrictions of my project, which was also for school, I focused on District 4 because it's the most central and the most urban of our districts in Phoenix, which increases the importance of green space in that district. It also has a high percentage of vulnerable populations, such as children, elderly, minority, and low socioeconomic communities, which have been shown to benefit more from access to green spaces and the opportunities provided for physical activity, stress relief, and improved air quality. Although my brief focuses on one district, similar measures could be taken for districts across Phoenix. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your work. I want to say, aren't we in the process, Inger, and I don't know if I'm out of scope or out of line, because it's public comment, regarding looking at the selling of property and the process?
Yes.
Okay. And then is the repayment plan going through the Parks Board or?
No, that would be a city council.
Okay, all right. So, thank you. Next item is minutes of the meetings. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Sal.
I said,
Motion
I said
carried.
aye.
Thank you. Consent actions 2 through 4. Is there any items that you would like to pull? Okay,
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye? Oh,
I made-
okay.
aye.
Oh, aye. Okay, just checking. Motion passes 2 through 4. For information only, 5 through 9. Anybody want to talk about anything? Okay.
All great items have been briefed on them, and I'm comfortable with moving to item 10. If you-
Okay. Item 10, artist design contract for Terminal 3 modernization, East Atrium.
Good morning.
Morning.
Vice Mayor Pastor, members of the council, the subcommittee. We're here to talk about another public art project in Terminal 3. This one is in the East Atrium. Ed Lebo, our public art director, is here to present the plan.
Good morning, Vice Mayor Pastor and council members. Before I jump into the proposed artist contract for Donald Lipsky, I wanted to give you just a brief update on all the other public artworks that are occurring at the airport. What is happening at Terminal 3 as part of the modernization is really a transformation that brings in extraordinary new views, great light you can see out, and there's great light in. And I think one of the things that the artists have fastened on in working with the aviation team is the opportunity to welcome people coming to the airport or leaving to this great southwestern light that we have. that on the right side of your screen there, you see a bridge that connects Terminal 3 to its north concourse. And this bridge is the site of a proposed improvement by artist James Carpenter. Currently, the bridge had this sort of cluster of safety equipment in there. It has been transformed to this, and through the design of Mr. Carpenter, it will become this beautiful space that brings in light and also provides views out in an interesting way. These are all optical aluminum cells that will really bring that space to life. On the South Concourse, Arizona artist Teresa Villegas has developed this design for the terrazzo, and this continues the really successful series of terrazzo by artists at the airport, SkyTrain, and also into this terminal modernization. On the West Atrium, or the West Plaza, there's currently a botanical garden out there, and we're working with the aviation team to bring in pedestals so that people can experience some of the larger works that are part of the Phoenix Airport Museum collection, and we'll be adding to those works as part of this project as well. Which brings me to Mr. Lipsky. Mr. Lipsky was approved for a design concept contract in December of 2016. Since then, he's been working with the aviation team and us to come up with an idea. And one of the reasons that Lipsky was selected is that he works in a very large scale. And we have a wall on the east atrium of the terminal. This will be the arrivals atrium. It's quite large. And one of the things that the team wanted out of this was a place for people to say, meet me under the fill in the blank there. And we think that Mr. Lipsky has come up with an extraordinary thing that can be seen from quite a distance. In the new spaces, you'll be able to view the work from several hundred feet away. So if you're ever lost in the terminal, you can point to it and say, that's where I will meet my friends. Mr. Lipsky, as I said, is known for working in common objects, hats in this case, creating the big Lone Star in Texas. In this instance, for a science facility in Colorado, he used test tubes to create a large butterfly. And what he thought would be extraordinary out here because of the great light and also because of the long history of aviation in the valley is the classic aviator glasses that would sit on this wall. They're approximately 28 feet across. That wall is about 93 feet in total. Behind it would be a mural that would be developed as part of the design process. One of the things that really interests him, and I think a lot of people who've seen this, is the potential to interact with this work. These lenses will be reflective. So in this era of selfies, this will become one of the great selfie spots in the airport as people arrive or about to depart. And as I mentioned, it's 28 feet across. The lenses themselves are about 9 feet. We're working with the airport team at the moment to sort of determine just how large those lenses can go and fit in the building. 13 feet tall is the framed area and 93 feet across. The proposed $225,000 artist contract would include all engineering for this, lighting integration, electrical integration, and also some additional bolstering for the wall. One of the things that will be necessary will be to develop full construction documents for this piece so it can be assembled in place, put on the wall, but then also in the future, should it ever need to be moved, can be disassembled and moved out as well. So that is the proposed contract for Mr. Lipsky to proceed with a $225,000 design contract. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'm comfortable making the motion. I just want to thank you for all the work that you're doing. I think we should doing the best we can. We should be doing the best we can, which I think we are, of implementing art and everything that we do, and certainly putting into our public policy and public health and art. Those types of things are the things that we should be considering. I like the idea. I think it will become, you know, that. What I'm curious to know is, though, what other concepts were submitted. I mean, that's a great idea. I think it's fascinating. I think a lot of people would enjoy, like you said, taking a selfie. I'm just curious. I want to get more involved in, and some of this is going to be on the PR side and for the next subcommittee. But I want to do more around telling Phoenix's story and not just, the tumbleweeds. And I'm talking about today and moving forward. We are this.
The future?
We're this really exciting city, becoming a smart city and so on. And I want to see more reflection like that. I'm not necessarily saying that this project needs to do that, but it is unique. I think I'm curious if there are any other ideas.
Well, one of the things that Mr. Lipsky felt strongly about was when you're flying into the Southwest and also flying, you're up in the clouds. And so he wanted a mural behind this to really reflect that. And he had played with a number of different ideas. One was souvenir spoons, perhaps on a large scale that, again, could reflect the overall environment of the airport. But when he began to look at the long history of both military aviation and local aviation here, he thought that these classic aviator glasses would really be the way to tell a story without necessarily having people understand all of the great history that's been here. But this valley and this area has been one of the extraordinary places in America for military training dating back more than half a century. And that's something that he has wanted to sort of convey in an image. And so we thought that this image of the aviator glasses really told that story in a way better than souvenir spoons, for instance.
Will there be and I appreciate that. I like that it's interactive. So I had the privilege to work on the state's 9/11 Memorial Commission. So when you go to the Wesley Boland Plaza, it's a living memorial. I remember we kept talking about that. And for those who haven't been able to check it out, it's right down the street there near the Capitol. But it is interactive, different times of day, different day of the week, different day of the month, different month. But as the sun rises and sets, you see different things on the memorial, which is really cool. I certainly was not one of the artists on it. I had the privilege of serving on that commission. But I remember going through this process and everything that you just mentioned. I think there's a history there and there's a why we're doing this. And so what we did is we went back to that commission and we actually put an explanation of the art there. So when students are coming in from schools, they can kind of read and see why, or they're about to see. It'll explain what they're about to see. So maybe just a recommendation. I'm not the artist, but a recommendation. I think it's great. It's catchy, but something that kind of explains the history, I think it'd be helpful, especially as we have all of these new visitors who, many of them have never been to Arizona.
Vice Mayor Pastor and Councilman Valenzuela, if I could, one of the things that we have talked about as part of this process is how essential the interpretation of this will be. And we work closely with the Phoenix Airport Museum and their staff to develop all kinds of information that's available for the public out there. For instance, if you walk the SkyTrain floors and see those, there are brochures that the Airport Museum has developed to explain the entire process. So we fully expect as part of this to take that thought and help to turn it into the story that people will want to understand.
I have a question, because now where there's the large aviator glasses, but then to the side, there's a lot of space. Is it possible, I don't know, and this would be speaking with the artist, is it possible then to do mini, how big, I don't know what mini would look like, but mini aviator glasses on the side of then seeing different reflections out of different people's lenses or eyes. So I was thinking of someone like a young child that is 3, what they see in an airport versus someone that is more mature versus a mom with several kids and how they view. I mean, I don't know, and I don't know, but that's what I was like. There's still a lot of space that we could tell many different stories out of many different lenses or eyes. The other piece was I would like to see a phoenix on there, somewhere on there, but it would be nice. So I don't know.
These are thoughts I can pass along if he's approved, and he can consider that as part of design. One thing I will tell you is that before anything goes to construction, we would be coming back to subcommittee to seek permission for a full construction contract. At that point, we would have refined designs and
Okay.
all the answers to whatever questions arose during this process.
All right, thank you.
But you do need a motion on this, right?
Yeah, Councilman DeCiccio,
Yes.
do you have any thoughts or?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, I need a motion.
Motion to approve. It looks like a great project. Thanks for the dialogue and answering all the questions, but I'm really excited about anytime we can get art into the airport, and I do think it's a great project, so thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't have any call to the public items, future agenda items. Anybody? Alrighty. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.